Welcome to another edition of The Ride Home with John and Kathy, live from the Salem-Pittsburgh studios. And now here are your hosts, John Hall and Kathy Emmons.
Hey, good afternoon. Greetings. Thanks for coming along today. It's the Monday edition of a Christmas holiday week. Kath, good to see you.
I think I'm excited about Christmas.
Yeah.
Though I have many, many things on my to-do list.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you do. Because,
what do you mean, yes, I do? Because
well, I expect you to, right?
Yeah, okay.
You sort of drive the ship forward.
Yeah, on Christmas.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
There is a lot going on. I believe perhaps today I surpassed the 40 dozen mark on cookies.
Holy smokes. What?
I think it's happened.
Really?
It's not really that big of a deal to do that many. I mean, it's a lot of cookies, but it's not as difficult as you might think. Anyone who bakes cookies is like, yeah, yes.
I guess.
I get
Okay.
it. I get
It's
it.
kind of like my salt.
It is a lot like your salt.
Right. It sounds like a lot,
very
but
much like your salt.
Yeah.
Like when you say you got 750 pounds of
Right.
salt.
You go, holy smokes. And you go, well,
Right.
not really. I mean, yes. Maybe the first time ever that rock salt and cookies have been compared.
My goal is to eat 44 dozen cookies.
Oh,
Okay.
my gosh. That's
I mean,
the problem.
That's fine.
Not make them.
Okay,
Right.
so this is what I've done up to this point. Would you like to know?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I did gingerbread chocolate chunk. I did chocolate cheesecake cookie, orange twist, orange dark chocolate shortbread.
I've had several. I mean, I was at your house
Oh, you
last
were
week.
right. Oatmeal cranberry.
That's very good.
Mochaccino I did today.
Now, are you freezing any of these? Or are
All
they
of
just
them.
all of them?
Oh yeah.
Because I would imagine, like, you walk into your house weighing X and you leave weighing XX. I mean, 40 dozens.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of sitting there for.
Yeah, I can't eat all that.
I'm going to graze. Let me try some of this. Let me try some
Chocolate peppermint crinkle.
of that. I'm not real big on peppermint cookies.
That is
Peppermint?
bankrupt perspective.
That's kind of harsh. Really, the peppermint cookie? I'm not so sure about that.
You love the peppermint patty.
I do.
Not?
I do. Yeah.
So what is the deal?
I don't know. There's just something about it. The orange thing you made was excellent.
The orange thing. Oh, the orange twist?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Very
That's
nice.
my mother-in-law's recipe.
The peppermint stuff, it's not like my first choice, obviously. You can
Really?
sort of hear that.
You think?
Right.
Never
Anyway,
would have guessed.
no.
Oh, you know what I made last night? Pistachio orange.
Very nice.
your wife's recipe.
Hey,
I saluted
excellent.
Rhonda Hall when I was making that last night in my kitchen.
Now, you're buying those pistachios pre-shelled.
I did.
Yeah, of course you have to.
I
No.
wouldn't, but it's just too much of a pain.
Yeah.
It's too much of a pain.
When my wife is making something like those
Yeah.
cookies, she buys the bag of pre-shelled. It sort of feels as though, like, whenever I take a handful.
You're cheating.
Exactly.
And you are cheating. You should never buy hulled pistachios
Right.
for eating.
I mean,
It's unacceptable.
You're paying
but,
a price.
But at a moment like this, I mean, can you imagine how long it would take
no,
to
forever,
hull all
never,
those?
never. No, you'd have to
Yeah.
enlist neighborhood children to, use
Exactly.
their little grubby fingers to crack the shells.
Exactly.
Anyway, without further ado, let's talk about the news today, because it's a big news day, as you might imagine. Kath, please give us the top 4 at 4.
For Monday, December 19th, 2022,
19th.
Christmas is Sunday. Number 1. The Vatican has defrocked an anti-abortion U.S. priest, Frank Pavone, for what it said were, quote, blasphemous communications on social media, as well as, quote, persistent disobedience of this bishop who of his bishop who repeatedly told him to stop his partisan activism for former President Donald Trump. A letter to U.S. bishops from the Vatican ambassador to the U.S. obtained Sunday said that the decision against Pavone, who heads the anti-abortion group Priests for Life, had been taken November 9th and that there was no chance for appeal. Pavone has been in conflict also with the Bishop of Amarillo, Texas for over a decade over his pro-life partisan political activities that came to a head in 2016 when he did some things I'm not going to talk about here on the air and posted a video about it on social media. Pavone Pavone has remained a firm supporter of President Trump. In 2022, disputed the outcome of the election. Ahead of the election, the diocese of which he's a part in Amarillo denounced his use of social media for political ends and distanced the diocese from him and said his positions were not consistent with Catholic teaching. Without giving you the details of the story, and which I encourage you to read, it's not just a matter of who he supported for president. It's what he was doing in his anti-abortion activism that was so over the top.
Really?
That
how he did it.
Right. That he would, I think most reasonably minded people would understand where the diocese is coming from. So you can check out more at CBS News.
You'd have to do a lot, first of all, to get on the Pope's radar.
This
and
is
then
a
to
lot.
have the Pope sort of do something to say, okay, you're done. I mean, it's kind of like, making the CEO of the corporation you work for aware of your presence and then banish you, right?
Like if the president would call you
directly
on the phone. Like, imagine that happening.
And want to talk to you about some things.
You mean like the president of our company called you, John, one time? Is that
remember that day?
Yeah,
he did, didn't he?
Remember? Funny, that day sticks in my mind.
You're still here, though.
He called me. I refused to take the call, and then he called you.
Yeah.
God bless us, everyone.
That was a dark day.
That was very dark.
Number 2, retail is back.
What?
Barnes & Noble plans to grow its fleet by 30 stores next year.
What?
The latest sign that big box retailers are expanding again after years of shrinking their real estate footprint.
I can't believe it.
There is a long story in today's Wall Street Journal that is super interesting. Let me just say this. The bookseller had been contracting for more than a decade, as of course it struggled against Amazon and other online retailers, and now has about 125 fewer stores than it did at its peak, which was 14 years ago. But this year, Barnes & Noble, just as an example, is opening more stores than it's closing, including 2 Boston area stores in locations formerly occupied by Amazon Books.
Whoa, fabulous. Okay, that's really good news.
There's a robust customer demand coming out of the pandemic. People turned to books when they were at home, and people like to hold them, see them, and browse them. It's different than scrolling through a screen on Amazon.
It surely is.
It really is different.
Good.
That's in today's Wall Street Journal. Number 3. A woman allegedly broke into actor Robert De Niro's Upper East Side townhouse early this morning and began taking his Christmas presents.
Under the tree. That's gutsy.
A woman who I won't name, who's 30 years old, was arrested on burglary charges after she was spotted entering his home at 2:45 a.m. Police were following her because she was wanted in connection with 6 other burglaries. Hearing the commotion, Robert De Niro came down the stairs. People did not know it was his house until he appeared.
Right.
No interaction between the actor and the alleged thief.
Thank goodness. Can you imagine how angry De Niro would be? Right?
I mean, any of us who've seen any of his movies are imagining all sorts of things that
there
could
he
have
is, like,
happened.
this mohawk. You talking to me?
Exactly.
You talking to me?
Number 4. There is a very cool menorah that has been set up on the first night of Hanukkah, which was celebrated last night. It is happening in the Squirrel Hill area of Pittsburgh, and you can see all the details and a photograph at the Trib. And I talked for so long that the music is over.
There we go.
That's really fun.
Bonus music.
It's really fun. Anyway, Razbai Yisroel Altin of Chabad in Squirrel Hill has. I tried to get that all out, but I really wasn't sure how to pronounce it, and so I did the best I could. Anyway, he presided over the lighting of the Kenorah last evening at the corner of Beacon and Murray, and it is a bunch of cans that he's going to add throughout the days, and it's going to benefit the Squirrel Hill Food Pantry.
Interesting.
And it's very cool.
Yeah.
So you can read all the details about the Hanukkah Festival, which is continuing through today.
I like it.
With the menorah lighting at the City County Building downtown. And Tuesday, a parade of cars decorated with menorahs. And that's your top 4 at 4.
Funny you bring this up because we were in Squirrel Hill last night.
Yes.
And
were you able to pronounce their names better than I did?
No, you know me.
Okay.
I saw not 1, not 2, but 3 cars with menorahs on their roofs.
Well, they're getting ready for Tuesday.
It's like a little parade.
It is going to be.
I like it a lot.
It's going to be really fun. We can talk about that as the show unfolds.
All right. Now, next we go to the White House. Greg Clugston is with us for his annual recitation of the White House Christmas poem. Stay with us.
101.5 WORD.
Next time on PowerPoint with Jack Graham.
Gale force winds can blow and tsunami waves can smash into the hull of your life, but you are buoyed by the belief that the best is yet to come. Our hope is a living hope because Jesus lives forever.
Tune in next time for PowerPoint with Jack Graham.
PowerPoint tonight at 9:30 on 101.5 WORD.
Christmas at the Spring House in 84 means lots of activities. Although we don't look like elves, we certainly feel like Santa's helpers as we go about our daily chores. In the bake shop, we're making pie dough and pie fillings from scratch to produce the best homemade pies you've ever tasted. The favorites are raspberry, apple crumb, caramel walnut, pumpkin, and sour cherry. And we're also doing all kinds of breads and cookies for gifts or just for good eating. In the basket making area, we're putting together wonderful country gift baskets just popping full and topped with beautiful bows. We like to say they're no fluff, they're just filled with good stuff. In the smokehouse, we're smoking round the clock our own hickory smoked hams, turkeys, and even salmon. And I almost forgot we're also making our own eggnog with fresh milk from our own cows, and it's wonderful. Throughout the Springhouse store, we're filled with country gifts that will delight the young and the young at heart. Come to the Springhouse in 84 for an old-fashioned Christmas.
Merry Christmas. This is Dean Gartland, president of City Mission. It has been a challenging year. Thank you for supporting City Mission through these uncertain times. I'm reminded of the words of Jesus, "Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." Your generosity has helped us to be a light in the darkness for so many in need. The need is growing and City Mission will be there, but only with your continued support. Please visit us at citymission.org and let your light shine today. God bless you this Christmas season.
Whose rulebook do you want to play by, the government's or your own? This is Jay Hagerman of Abernathy and Hagerman. Without a proper estate plan, many families end up playing by the government's rulebook and losing a lot of what they'd intended to leave to their families. That's why Abernathy and Hagerman presents free, ongoing estate planning workshops with attorney Dan Reimer to help you protect what's yours and make sure the government plays by your rules. The next one's happening soon. For details and to attend, visit a-h.law.
Rhema Christian School is a private school in Moon Township serving children in preschool through 8th grade. Recognized for its commitment to a biblically integrated curriculum that nurtures a Christian worldview and academic excellence, Rhema aims to develop the whole child, spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, and socially. Rhema is a true community of families who desire to raise up the next generation of godly leaders, also offering programs for homeschool families, accepting enrollment now for the current school year and opening soon for the 2023-24 school year. Visit RhemaChristianschool.org.
We start off every week by going to the White House where Greg Clugston joins us. Greg Clugston is the SRN News White House correspondent, and dare I say, he is the White House Press Corps Poet Laureate. Greg, welcome back. How are you? Merry Christmas.
Hey, Merry Christmas, John and Kathy, and thank you for the invitation to be here.
Fabulous. Oh, my gosh. Our week would not be complete if...
And we're super geeked.
Exactly. We're super excited about this. Now, do we do poem first, or do we do news first?
I think we do news first.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think that's a good call.
We save the best for last.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, so that's not what people in southern states are thinking. Boy, there is chaos at the border. For all of the criticisms that President Trump took with his immigration policies, things have absolutely cratered under President Biden. Talk about the latest, Greg.
So you remember this health policy related to immigration. It's called Title 42, and it was installed back during the Trump administration, and it had to do with COVID-19, and it was essentially a tool that the U.S. government could use to essentially say no to asylum seekers on health grounds to not continue the spread of the coronavirus in the United States. And so this Title 42 policy is going away. It's ending on Wednesday of this week, 2 days from now. And so there is this anticipation among a lot of people south of the U.S. border, that once this Title 42 policy goes away, it's going to make it easier for them to seek asylum and enter the United States. Now, obviously, there are still laws that are going to be enforced by the U.S. And by Border Patrol and those sorts of procedures. But in the run-up to Wednesday's expiration of this policy, you have tens of thousands of migrants essentially lining up, ready to come in. El Paso, Texas, over the weekend, the mayor there essentially declaring a state of emergency, saying we don't have either the state or the federal resources to handle the influx.
Wow. This is scary business, Greg, because as you said, tens of thousands at the back door of the United States right now, ready to rush forward. Is there any indication that the government will continue to impose the COVID restrictions, or is it a done deal that come Wednesday, everything's going to be opened up?
Yeah, it looks as if it's going to be a done deal when you listen to the language coming from the White House and other officials in the Biden administration, although it's not entirely clear, John, if there would be some wiggle room or some alternative effort or, legal maneuver or whatever to still, involve, health concerns or some other related policy that might be put into place. We're going to be hearing more from the administration on this tomorrow, but of course that's coming just on the eve of this policy expiring on Wednesday. So it seems as if there's real concern among the border communities, especially, and from governors and mayors in these border cities, that there simply are not enough resources. Now, of course, the White House is putting a lot of the blame on Republicans in Congress, saying that they're not serious about really doing important reforms of immigration policy, and that they have stood in the way of signing off on more money to hire more agents and build more holding facilities and that kind of thing. But even if you have more agents and more holding facilities for an influx, that doesn't really address the issue of stemming the flow that's coming across the border. And that's the real chaos that you're speaking of and that
chaos.
We're seeing.
That's really a good word, because I can't imagine anyone thinks this is a good idea about what's ready to happen at the border. I mean, tens of thousands and more behind them. It could be a steady stream. Imagine living in those border states, and of course, they're talking about, well, we'll put migrants on boats and buses and airplanes and ship them to sanctuary cities. This is just not good for anybody.
No, and it's not going away anytime soon. We've obviously seen an ebb and a flow when it comes to migration numbers and those that are seeking access either legally or illegally to the United States, but we're at a real pressure point right now.
SRN News White House correspondent Greg Clugston joins us. Greg, let's talk about the January 6th committee. Today was the final hearing, so to speak. After more than a year and a half of work, the committee made recommendations to the Justice Department. Please fill us in on the details.
So this was the conclusion of, as you point out, the January 6th committee, John, and essentially Donald Trump should be charged with crimes was the conclusion. And the committee laid out a referral, which is symbolic in a sense. It's not an official legal indictment, for example, but it's the opinion, it's the recommendation of this committee based on the evidence that has been gathered, 1,000+ interviews and all of the rest of the evidence, that they are referring to the Department of Justice these potential crimes that they say Donald Trump and others committed in the run-up to January 6th and on January 6th. So an effort to overturn the 2020 election results, as well as involvement in the riot at the U.S. Capitol. And so the referrals deal with obstruction of an official proceeding, conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to make a false statement to the federal government, and to incite, assist, and provide aid or comfort on insurrection. So these are serious charges. Again, they are symbolic. Republicans, of course, from the very beginning have denounced and dismissed this committee as partisan and not interested in getting the whole story. So in some senses, we're back to square one because the committee's work is coming to an end. We have a new Congress coming into town here in a couple of weeks, and we'll have to wait and see now exactly what, if anything, the Justice Department decides to do with these referrals. Of course, there are already investigations into Donald Trump going on, and there is a special counsel overseeing those probes. So whether or not they go even further and follow up on these specific criminal referrals, that's a wait and see issue.
Mm-hmm. Even as I sit there and listen to you talk about it, Greg, I think how ironic it is that I could hear something as momentous as that, saying a former president is, the recommendation is that he would be charged with criminal offenses. And yet part of me thinks, well, that's never going to happen, because it's such a political football. Right. It's hard to see through to what the truth of an issue is when things are just so partisan in the nation's capital.
And isn't it true that the House Minority Leader, Kevin McCarthy, who is vying for the House majority, he's saying, well, if he does ascend to more power, he'll investigate the January 6th committee.
Yeah, an investigation of the investigators. Right. And McCarthy, by the way, he was listed by this committee, the January 6th committee, as one of 4 members of Congress who refused to abide by subpoenas issued by the panel. And so there are potential ethics charges, or the possibility at least of those, against McCarthy, who, as you mentioned, is seeking to become the next House Speaker as well.
All right. So speaking of McCarthy, boy, he's in a little bit of a pickle right now, isn't he? He's got a band of 5 that are holding out on not putting him over the top as far as votes for Speaker. It's a fractured Republican Party. That's no news to anybody. But yeah, I'm not sure I don't know. What do you think McCarthy's going to be able to do between now and when the vote happens?
Yeah, it's, Kathy, simply it's a math problem right now for McCarthy. He needs to get to a certain number. He needs to get to 218 to get that majority of members of the House of Representatives that would say in January, or first week of January, that he would become the next House Speaker. You have a few Republicans who are holding out, and you currently have more
for all different reasons.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not like they're looking at it as one block, but yeah.
And with it being a very, very slim majority that the Republicans are going to be holding in that Congress, McCarthy can't afford this block, even though it's a small block of 5 Republicans, to bail on him in terms of getting. So what you're getting is you're getting other members of Congress, and whether they're more moderate or conservative, whatever the case may be, we're hearing it from different members, and they're saying, look, to the Republican caucus at large in the House, we need to be unified, even though there are differences. But as we know, going back a few years when John Boehner and Paul Ryan used to be the Republican speakers of the House, they had a rough go of keeping the Republican Party in line, and so that's why McCarthy, if he even gets the nod to become House Speaker, that's just the first hurdle. Then he would have to deal with, as the House Speaker moving forward, what to do with the GOP.
Holy smokes. I'll tell you, things are so crazy in Washington, D.C. and at the White House, somebody should write a poem about it.
And the good news is someone has. I think the moment has arrived.
That's right. So there's Greg Clugston. Greg, there you sit in the basement of the White House where you are right now. And
you're very brand new looking microphone there. It looks like it has hardly been through anything.
Right.
It's done a lot of campaign travel, this microphone.
It looks like someone's muffler. In the back of a Ford Pinto. I mean, seriously. Okay, Greg, so there you are, day in and day out. You toil in the nation's capital, but there's something in you that sees all this calamity, and you think, I could put this to a poem.
Yeah, and this is a tradition. I've been doing this since 1998 in my post here at the White House in the basement, and just outside the door behind me is a very narrow hallway and other reporters here in the basement. And this basement hosts an annual Christmas party. It's essentially a glorified potluck lunch one day in December.
Nice.
And it's just a chance to enjoy the season. We invite reporters from upstairs. We invite the press secretary and other staff members from the press office, no matter who the president is, whatever the administration, a chance to come down, have some lunch. And in 1998, I did a summary of what was the big story that year, the Clinton impeachment scandal. And that was the genesis of this, what has become a 24-year tradition. And it's essentially morphed into a capsule or a summary of the presidential news headlines from the previous year.
Hard to imagine we're pining for the days of impeachment of the Clinton administration.
Boy, those were the good ones.
Right. That was back when impeachment wasn't a constant threat on Capitol Hill, as opposed to once every, 100 years or something.
Take a breath. Let's impeach someone. All right, Greg. So without further ado, this is the 24th annual White House poem?
That's correct.
Very nice.
24th.
Please hold forth, please.
Loosely based on the "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" poem that is so well known. The 2022 White House Press Basement version. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and in the White House, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. Stockings were hung by the chimney with fear, worried that inflation would not disappear. POTUS was sleeping, all snug in his bed, while visions of ice cream danced in his head. He dreamed of the year, and Justice Stephen Breyer announcing his plan to finally retire. Biden's campaign promise won Senate support. A black woman now sits on the land's highest court. When SCOTUS overturned Roe versus Wade, Biden blasted the court. He was clearly dismayed. The ruling, he said, was a point of inflection, putting abortion on the ballot in the midterm election. A Peter Doocy question prompted POTUS to swear. What a stupid SOB was heard on the air. Putin's Russian troops invaded sovereign Ukraine. The brutal war continues, causing misery and pain. With high oil prices causing pain at the pump, Biden met MBS with a friendly fist bump. But production was cut by OPEC Plus nations, prompting a review of Saudi relations. Psaki left the White House for cable TV. KJP cites the Hatch Act almost daily. First Lady Jill made some comments that stung when breakfast tacos rolled off of her tongue. While economists predicted a likely recession, Biden issued pardons for marijuana possession. He offered a plan to forgive student debt, hoping grateful young voters wouldn't forget. He warned of semi-fascists in the GOP while vowing to protect our democracy. Democrats prevailed on a big climate bill and kept Senate control on Capitol Hill. All of a sudden, there arose such a clatter, POTUS jumped up to see what was the matter. When who should appear in a pantsuit, of course, but Speaker Pelosi, a powerful force. She was dressed all in white from her head to her toe, explaining it was time for her generation to go. But the 80-year-old Biden wasn't sure he was done. Eyeing re-election, he intended to run. A final decision would follow family talks about facing the man who kept classified docs. And I heard Biden exclaim, heading off on a hike, "Merry Christmas to all. I won't fall off my bike."
Fabulous. Fabulous.
Greg, that's outstanding. The tacos made it.
Yep.
The white pantsuit.
Lovely.
Oh, my
Yes.
gosh. So Nancy was Santa this year.
Mm-hmm.
She was. That's one of the first things I have to figure out when I am
the apex of
assembling
the
this.
story.
Excellent.
Right.
Very
Who
nice.
the Santa figure is going to be and the final send-off line. Those are the first two, and then
The rest of it
I
builds.
just try to piece all the other details, as many as I can. Yeah.
First of all, that's an outstanding effort.
Yes, it is.
And the second thing is, who was Santa last year? I don't remember.
Last year, how could I forget? It was Democrat Senator Joe Manchin.
Oh, of course.
Right.
Of course.
He had all the
He
power
was, of
last
course.
year. Very nice.
Of course it was.
Exactly.
Well, Greg, excellent work as always. You're a delight, and we thank you for every Monday to show up here with us.
We've loved it all of 2022.
We really have. So to you and your family, a very Merry Christmas. Hope that you have a little downtime over the holiday and can stay in your pajamas and hang out with your wife and your kids.
Thank you very much to your listeners. Merry Christmas. Thanks.
Very nice.
Great to see you, Greg.
Merry Christmas, Greg Clugston.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. I tried to make payments.
The IRS wasn't satisfied with Eric's efforts, so they came after him full force.
They're coming to put a lien and a hold on all my income, my home, my car. I was just overwhelmed at what to do.
Then Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and their team of expert tax professionals took care of Eric's problem.
I owe $15,000, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Take Eric's advice.
If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
MyPillow is excited to bring you the biggest bedding sale ever just in time for Christmas. Hey, it's John Hall. Get the Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $29.98. A set of pillowcases for only $9.98. And rejuvenate your bed with a MyPillow mattress topper for as low as $99.99. They also have blankets in a variety of sizes, colors, and styles. They even have blankets for your pets. Get duvets, quilts, down comforters, body pillows, bolster pillows, and so much more, all with the biggest discounts ever. They're also extending their money-back guarantee for Christmas until March 1st, 2023, making them the perfect gifts for your friends, your family, everyone you know. So go to MyPillow.com, use promo code WORD, or call 800-391-0954. You'll get huge discounts on all MyPillow bedding products, including the Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $29.98. And get all your shopping done now while quantities last.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Turbulent times call for clear-headed insight. That's hard to come by these days, especially on TV. That's where we come in. The new Salem News Channel, the greatest collection of conservative minds, all in one place. Home to the people you trust. Dennis Prager, Mike Gallagher, Sebastian Gorka, and more. Refreshingly honest, always unfiltered. Streaming free on your TV 24/7. Intelligent analysis for intelligent people. Find what you're looking for at snc.tv. That's snc.tv.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
Listen on your smart speaker at wordfm.com, the Word FM app, iHeart, TuneIn, and on Odyssey. In your car or at home, too, at 101.5 WORD-FM, Pittsburgh.
Sunshine and some clouds this afternoon, a high 31 for tonight, mostly cloudy with a low 20. Clouds and some sunshine for tomorrow, high 36. Tomorrow night, low 22. Sunshine and some clouds on Wednesday with a high 38. And on Thursday, cloudy with occasional rain, high 42. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm Andy Robb.
So we go from the White House to Steven Spielberg. Just a quick thought about Steven Spielberg. He was interviewed by the BBC, and of course the subject of his film career, because the movie The Fabelmans is out in theaters. And he said essentially that he wanted to apologize to all sharks because of the film Jaws. It made trophy hunting for the great whites a sort of a testosterone-fueled frenzy.
Right.
Peter Benchley, who the book, he wrote the book Jaws. Right. Also apologized decades earlier. But Spielberg says, every time I get in the ocean, I fear that I will be eaten by a shark, that somehow karma will come for me. It would sort of, serve me right to die this way. But he just said, what I did, and I didn't know at the time, was that there's no such thing as a predatory animal that would go after humans. Of course, that's the whole premise of Jaws. And he did make the apology on behalf of himself and his family.
I bet it means a lot to the shark community.
I wonder, if it's true, the decimation of sharks.
It could be.
Up and down the East Coast.
Look at what a huge movie that was.
Yeah.
I also want to say before we break that I never saw it.
You never saw Jaws? You've never once seen it?
No.
Really?
I know. I never have.
Oh, it's a good movie.
Yeah, except that we have to apologize to a whole, animal subspecies.
You don't have to apologize. I'm sure they'll rebound. They probably have rebounded. Anyway, we come back.
Yes.
Doug Bursch is going to join us.
Jesus and the Outcasts.
The Outcasts? Mm-hmm. Do you consider yourself an outcast?
In a lot of ways, yeah, I do.
All right, we'll talk about that next. It's The Ride Home. Pittsburgh's Christian Talk on Word FM.
101.5 WORD.
Your station for unlimited grace with Brian Chappell.
What we're learning is that it's not what impresses humanity that's about God's purposes. Grace is working beyond our efforts and our beauty and our concern. I mean, think how this is expressing simply what Samuel found so much earlier when he went and appointed David to be the king.
Unlimited Grace with Brian Chappell tonight at 11 on 101.5 WORD.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-940-6161. That's 1-800-940-6161. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-940-6161. SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
Ad paid for by OpenChar Concepts. Attention firefighters, members of the military, and airport workers. For decades, first responders and firefighters at military bases and airports used a chemical-based foam to fight fires. Studies have shown that chemicals used to make aqueous film-forming foam, or AFFF, are highly toxic to humans and have been associated with several types of cancer. If you or someone you know was exposed to AFFF and were diagnosed with any of these cancers, including kidney, bladder, prostate, pancreatic, lymphoma, leukemia, testicular, and neuroendocrine, then you should call us immediately because you may be entitled to significant cash compensation. Call us at 800-515-8809. Our experienced attorneys will fight to get you the compensation you deserve, and you pay nothing unless we get a recovery in your favor. Time is limited to file the claim, so call us now, 800-515-8809. Operators are standing by 24/7, so don't wait. 800-515-8809. That's 800-515-8809. Again, 800-515-8809.
That hailstorm really did some damage to the house, honey.
I know, and so close to Christmas. What are we going to do?
Well, you know, our neighbor Eric said Bachman's Roofing helped him with his insurance claim and walked him through each step of the process.
Maybe we should call them too. Eric's wife did say Bachman's are local storm experts. Can we ask them about saving with solar roofing?
I think that's a great idea.
Call Bachman's Roofing and Solar at 412-744-8390 or go to pittsburgh.bachmansroofing.com.
Well, to be alive, at least at some point in your life, you felt like an outcast. I think it's fair to say that. Doug Bursch is back with us. He's a regular guest on our show, producer and the host of the Fairly Spiritual radio program, podcast, also the author of Posting Peace, Why Social Media Divides Us and What We Can Do About It. Doug, welcome back, and Merry Christmas to you and yours.
Yes, well, Merry Christmas to both of you. So glad to be back on the Kathy and Dingle Kringle show. True honor.
Dingle Kringle.
Yeah, it's an Advent show. It's sweeping the nation.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know, John, you're really like the fruitcake of the show. You exist, but people don't know why. They're just, it's there. It's a part. It's a part of the whole thing.
Just because I get stuck in your teeth.
Yeah, every show needs one. They're just not sure why.
Dingle Kringle.
Doug, first off, let me ask you, do you have a favorite Christmas song? And are you comfortable sharing that with us?
I'd like to more talk about songs I try to avoid.
Okay, you can go there too. I can accept it.
Mariah Carey, just too much. I mean, it's a great song, but that's part of my holiday tradition.
You're dissing on the Queen of Christmas. You're dissing on her.
A Nat King Cole would be it. The Nat King Cole Christmas album is the album, and Christmas started when we would put that on as kids.
Okay.
Yeah, very nice.
The Christmas song. I know it's not that religious, but it's almost like religion to me.
Yeah.
No, it's fine, of course. And do you have you ever struggled with differentiating between Perry Como and Andy Williams?
Yes.
They are one and the same.
Thank you.
Probably roommates in camp.
Maybe. I just can't tell who it is when they're singing. Doug, talk about Outcasts.
You want me to talk about the Christmas Shoes song?
No.
No, please don't.
I'm doing a sequel to that.
I'm sorry you brought that up.
The Nintendo Switch song. It's where a kid tries to convince people that he needs to buy his mom a Nintendo Switch before she dies.
That's
it's a
sweet.
big scam, but I think it'll go well.
Everyone needs a good Christmas scam. Talk about Outcasts, I beg you.
Yeah, well, I'm one of them, and I heard, Kathy, you are as well, probably because you've never seen Jaws.
Right.
It's hard to believe you get a radio show and
we
never
shame
seen
her
Jaws.
regularly. Yes.
But anyway, what Amish community were you raised in? Something like that? But anyway, so sorry, Christmas. I'm trying to stay focused here. Outcast. I was thinking about all these movies that talk about someone going from rags to riches, or from poverty-stricken, hardly any access to anything, and they become a tremendous, leader, scientist, celebrity, whatever it is. And we like those narratives. We even kind of teach our kids that, do something great for the kingdom of God. And then we kind of assess the greatness of our lives based on what we've accomplished, a larger audience, more influence. Doesn't have to just be money. It could just be we went from something small to something big. But when I think about Jesus, the story of Jesus on earth starts as what? He's a pauper. He's with the lowly. But the story ends there as well. If you go on with Jesus's life, it's not from pauper to king. It's from pauper to pauper. He has a certain level of, let's say, influence, but he doesn't become, powerful within the government. He doesn't become powerful among the religious. He's crucified like a common criminal, and yet he did the will of the Father. And that's just kind of been going through my mind. I've had lots of transition lately in my own life. The concept of what is a successful life, or what's the goal of this life? And Jesus models to us, he is a king who becomes a pauper. And he stays in that position of the servant of all and carries out the Father's will. He's not someone who was a pauper who became a king. He's a king who lived amongst us as the servant of all. And so for me, that's kind of what I'm processing this holiday season, also going into the new year, is what am I supposed to be living for? Is it more whatever, more followers, more influence, more people to buy my book, which I wouldn't mind if that happened? Or is it really just to be faithful to the life God has entrusted to our care? Because God loves the ordinary life. All of our lives are ordinary. And that's beautiful. God loves humans just as we exist, made in his image, wonderfully made to be fruitful, to multiply, to have dominion. He has blessed every ordinary person with an extraordinary reality, an extraordinary existence. And maybe during this holiday time, that'd be a good thing to focus in on when we gather around the tree or we pray. It's not about becoming something more. It's often about appreciating who we truly are in Christ.
I love that, Doug. I mean, because as you said, we live in this crazy era of the celebrity influencer, TikTok star. And if you, sort of judge yourself by your number of followers, and if you don't have X, well, then you're kind of a loser. Whatever happened to the people who just showed up faithfully and went about their lives and, did what they did, and at the end of the day, they went home? I mean, we're so far from that now. So I think a lot of us are outcasts because we don't ascribe to that.
Yeah, well, one of the things, the problem with having, you're going to live a really special life, is to have a special life, that means other people have to be less special than you. It creates a hierarchy. For me to be the great minister, it means other ministers need to be not as good as me. And there's something wrong with that mentality. And we promote it. We promote the extraordinary stories. We even give them as the sermon illustrations. And that person became the next president of, some company, and we'll delight in those stories. But I think if you get around most Christians, there tends to be this dissatisfaction that I'm not what I should be. And if I only did more, this idea that I should be something else, but I am what I am, and maybe this year I'll change and become something more. There's something wrong with motivating the majority of the population with becoming something else. I think Christ, the story of the gospel, is God valuing our existence as it is, rescuing us from our sins, saving us, but redeeming every person as someone made in his image, dearly and wonderfully loved, set aside for noble purposes from in advance. And I think our noble purposes are to live this life with love and grace and kindness, and to reflect the image of Christ, whether we ever get any sort of position of fame or accolades.
I love it.
Doug, I don't know. I feel like this idea of being an influencer has it has an appeal for any person, but I think it has a particular appeal for Christians. I'm not sure why that is. I'm not sure if it harkens back to the era of tent preachers, or of Charles Spurgeon talking to 10,000 people without a microphone, or it harkens to how closely portions of the church are are associated with power, which is not new in this era. I mean, the church has been associated with power for 2,000 years.
But
so
you could see why you want to do that.
Yeah, but do you think that? Like, it just seems like Christians have. I feel that I have that pull of
I'm doing great things for the kingdom.
I should be doing more. I should be more of an influencer.
It's interesting. I think depending upon the, denominational distinctives, and there's different reasons we push this. I think at some level it's trying to validate our faith and the authenticity of our relationship with Jesus. And so if there's this spiritual fruit, it's a sign, I really do know Christ and Christ knows me. And if I don't see that, then I just have to trust by faith that this salvation is enough, even if the church doesn't grow or people don't listen to your radio show or whatever the thing is that you say shows that, I really do have something. And you'll see, Pentecostals will do this. A sign that I'm anointed is I have this fruit around me. People who believe, more predestination, the sign that God has set me apart is, look at this influence I have. And they might not say that, but there's something that we do that with. We internalize that I need some external fruit to validate that God truly does love me and I truly am on the right side or in the right position. But we know that historically, or even around the world, people who live in tremendous poverty, war-torn communities, Christians who live in those environments, the fruit of their life is not going to be fame, fortune, money, even longevity. The fruit of their life will just be faithfulness. Serving the Lord in the midst of poverty, serving the Lord in the midst of a war-torn country where things are outside their control. No one is going to be judged their life as more worthy than anyone else's based on the fruit of their life, except for just faithfulness. They were faithful for the relationships entrusted to their care and faithful to following God.
Amen to that. I mean, I hear you talk about this, Doug, and I know the truth of what you're saying. At the same time, I'm sure you, Kath, people, you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you kind of go, okay, now what?
Should I be doing more?
Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it's human nature, whether you're a believer or not. But it is true. Your point is well taken about, Jesus and the outcast. And we know that he loves us. I know that intellectually. I know that in my heart. At the same time, could I have a little slice more? I just think that's who we are.
Yeah. Well, it's one thing to do something more based on the favor of the Lord that you feel. It's another thing to try to do something to gain God's favor. And I'd ask your listeners, are you doing the next great thing because, you love the Lord and you're excited and you want to share it with others? Or are you doing it at some level to try to gain God's favor or the favor of others? If you start doing it for the favor of others, life becomes pretty miserable. And also you become pretty dangerous because now the expectations of others begin to influence your obedience to God.
Amen to that. Well, Doug, we love you. I want to thank you for joining us on the John and Kathy Show. The John and Kathy Show here on Word FM.
Love you guys.
Merry Christmas to you, friend.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
All right.
Best of the fam.
Take a quick break, come back. We're going to talk about star-studded classic films.
Yeah, there's new ones. Are
new
they
ones?
any good?
Probably not.
All right.
Not as good as the old ones.
This holiday season, why not give the gift of a good night's sleep? This is Greg Trzynski, and at the Original Mattress Factory, our factory direct business model allows us to provide a better quality product at a better price than mainstream mattress retailers. We hand build our products in our own local factories and sell them directly to you in our own stores. Not only does this save you money, it also means we can offer local delivery or arrange in-store pickup on most items by the holidays. Visit an OMF location today for a better night's sleep this Christmas.
When you need your dollar to go further, you need the Original Mattress Factory. We hand build our mattresses in box springs in our factories and sell them factory direct in our own stores. We cut out the middleman and pass the savings on to you. You get a better quality mattress at a better price compared to mainstream brands. When your wallet is feeling the squeeze everywhere from the gas pump to the grocery store, real value is more important than ever. Visit an Original Mattress Factory location today to see our factory direct difference for yourself.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for healthcare. And here's why. Not only is it open enrollment for a lot of people, it's also a time you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. And it's true, the typical family switching to MediShare saves $500 or more a month, which is obviously huge for a lot of people. But what's more, they like it. MediShare has double the customer satisfaction rate compared to health insurance. Double. There are 400,000 members. They've shared over $4 billion in medical bills, and it really is a great community, too. people encourage and pray for each other. And here's the thing. If you join MediShare Complete right now, they'll waive your new member fees and you'll save an additional 10% off all of 2023. That's right. No fee to join, 10% off every month of next year, but it's a very limited time offer. You have to sign up before December 31st. Great savings, great health care. Find out more. Call now. 844-45-BIBLE. That's 844-45-BIBLE. 844-45-BIBLE.
This Christmas season, have you wondered, where is the goodwill in the world today? May we remember that our hope is found in Christ, in his message of peace and goodwill for all people and among all people. You are invited to Christ Church at Grove Farm as we share this message of hope at our Christmas candlelight services on December 23rd and 24th. Experience the joy and the hope of Christmas at Christ Church at Grove Farm. Visit ccgf.org for more information.
I'm thankful for the time I get to spend with my family during Christmas.
Christmas is a time for gratitude at Wheaton Christian Academy.
I'm thankful for the opportunity that I get to spend time with those I love.
My favorite thing about the holiday season is seeing the look on my family's face when I give them a really good gift.
During the Christmas season, I'm thankful that I can see all of my family members in one place.
I'm thankful for the friends and relationships that I've made here at Eden.
Merry Christmas from your friends at Wheaton Christian Academy.
It's not really Christmas until I watch
White Christmas?
Oh, it's a nice selection. It's not really Christmas until I watch
Elf.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have an answer to that question for yourself?
Yeah, I'm going to watch Jimmy Stewart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I also love Elf.
Yeah.
And I also love Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh,
although
my
not
gosh.
specifically it's more of a Thanksgiving film.
I was going to say, is that a Christmas
But it
movie?
really is a Christmas movie in a way, in the sentiment of it all. Okay, do you know that, of course, every year, the big cable companies, Hallmark Media made 40 original holiday movies this year at an average price of $2 million per movie.
I mean, that is shocking. That's an amazing number.
I've never seen one.
I've never seen one either. Gary, have you ever seen a Hallmark movie?
Not by choice.
Oh, there. Oh.
But you have seen one.
You have seen.
I'm sorry, what?
Okay.
But you have seen one.
Yeah.
And
enough for one to.
And what did you?
No, you don't want to see the
What
second
did you
one.
think?
I thought I was sick.
Okay.
No, I don't know.
They're fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're fine. They kill some time.
Right.
And that's the best thing you can say. They kill some time.
Well, they're
predictable.
What is that? Something flick idea?
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Girl
Chick
flicks.
flicks.
Chick flicks.
Yeah. Okay, so A&E produced 26 holiday movies this year.
Really?
Yes. But as I'm reading a piece in...
How about Tarantino? Did he do any?
No, thank
Okay,
goodness.
maybe not.
No, when I see those like bad Santa movies or Santa on a rampage...
Yeah, like I'm not interested in
it's like
that.
sacrilegious in a way.
Right.
I mean, I don't want to see like Santa as a vampire or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not saying it's holy, but at the same time, don't mess with Santa.
No, I agree.
Okay, so the most watched films of holiday fare, apparently what they're saying is the older films, of course, are the better films.
And the more watched films.
Yep. How the Grinch Stole Christmas, which I don't really want to care to watch that.
I watched it. Oh, I mean, I don't think I haven't watched it in a long time, but I've
Really?
certainly watched it a lot.
Really, I don't think I've ever seen it.
Oh, oh, it's very good.
Is it?
Oh yeah.
Kind of. I thought it was kind of like
It's an anime.
anti-Christmas.
Oh no.
Okay.
No. It's Dr. Seuss.
Is Die Hard?
It's Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, I know.
right?
Die Hard's
Of course,
not
yeah,
a
yeah.
Christmas movie, is it?
I don't know.
I mean, it takes place at Christmas. It's certainly not
Right,
a
it could
Christmas
be,
movie,
right?
but there's an argument that can be.
How about A Christmas
had.
Story?
I've never seen it.
What?
The Tongue on the Flagpole?
That's
No.
a fabulous movie.
I never saw it.
Never saw it.
No.
That's a great movie.
Okay.
Elf, of
Yes,
course, the
it's
aforementioned.
terrific.
Home Alone.
I don't think I ever saw that either.
Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Christmas Vacation is the #1 watched Christmas movie.
Really?
Yeah.
How about
What-
White Christmas?
Yeah, what about
Yeah,
White
that's a great-
Christmas? Yeah.
Sisters. right?
Sisters.
Yeah.
Never
It's a Wonderful Life.
Devoted sisters.
I would say, to me, It's a Wonderful Life is the best Christmas movie of all time.
I've seen it
Just
one
seen
time.
it too many times.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's in the theaters this year.
Is it?
I'd be more inclined to go to the theaters.
Yeah,
I just love it.
That'd be fun.
But have you seen it?
One time.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I did.
Since we've done the show, I
Yep.
think I shamed you.
Yep, you did shame me publicly.
I'm sorry.
And that wasn't the only time.
Right.
That wasn't. The, I also love Rudolph.
Oh, of course. And the Charlie Brown specials.
Charlie Brown specials preeminent.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I like Rudolph Shiny New Year. Also.
I don't know that.
Oh, it's a good one.
Really?
No, it's a good one. And The Year Without a Santa Claus is one
That's
of
an
my
excellent film.
favorites.
Yeah.
Heat Miser and Snow Miser.
Yeah, sure.
I love them.
How about Burl Ives?
Love him. Love him. I love those
I like
weird.
the sound.
What exactly is that animation called with like the little paper puppets?
I'm not sure.
You know, that era.
It's very
of-
60s.
Yes.
Like early 60s
I like
animation.
that.
Yeah, me too.
I like that a lot.
And poor Rudolph. But he does rise to the occasion.
It's a great. I love Rudolph.
Mm-hmm.
I love those ones.
All
I
right.
love that era of Christmas film.
Well, I would say that I would.
And what
like
about A
the
Miracle on 30?
Snowman?
What? Frosty's too sad.
No, not
No,
that.
Frosty's
the
good.
Snowman. Remember?
No, I don't.
The
no.
Snowman.
I don't think it has any words.
The Snowman.
No, I don't know the Snowman.
Listen, I need to shame you because you need to watch Home Alone.
Yeah.
And you need to watch The Christmas Story. You play. That's such a great. You'll love that movie.
Really? Really?
Really, you will.
Okay.
It's a great movie. A Christmas Story. Please. Would you watch it?
I'm watching White Christmas. I'm already committed.
All right.
Look, that's how I feel.
I would say
you
less
guys.
time making cookies.
What about Miracle on 34th Street?
That's a good film.
Okay.
No, that's good. You know, the real
That'd
Santa.
that'd be a good one to watch.
It's Natalie Wood.
Is it?
Yeah.
I own it. I've never seen it.
It's excellent.
What about Holiday Inn?
Oh, I love that
that's a good
too.
one.
Yeah.
I think that's black and white.
See, you're doing just fine.
See,
You're way ahead of the curve.
okay with the older ones.
All right. Take a quick break, 5 o'clock hour. Pittsburgh's Christian Talk. It's the ride home here on Word FM.
Ask Alexa to play the word Pittsburgh to hear us there. We're on your Google speaker too, plus iHeart, TuneIn, and on Odyssey. 101.5 WORD-FM, Pittsburgh.
SEC.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Get ready for an extra cold Christmas. Arctic air will blast much of the U.S. just before the holiday.
Forecasters are warning of treacherous holiday travel and life-threatening cold for big parts of the nation.
Below zero readings are likely and expected across the northern plains and portions of the upper Midwest. But even for locations down into the southeast, mid-Atlantic, temperatures dipping down into the single digits or teens.
National Weather Service meteorologist Zach Taylor also says besides the Arctic blast, rain and snow are also in the forecast.
Potential there for some heavy rainfall across the eastern U.S. And on the colder side of the storm system, we're looking at a potential for a swath of locally heavy snowfall somewhere across the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes.
I'm Julie Walker.
And the Dow is down 331 points. The NASDAQ off 186. This is SRN News.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-333-1750. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-333-1750. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-333-1750. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-333-1750. 800-333-1750.
Rhema Christian School is a private school in Moon Township serving children in preschool through 8th grade. Recognized for its commitment to a biblically integrated curriculum that nurtures a Christian worldview and academic excellence, Rhema aims to develop the whole child, spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, and socially. Rhema is a true community of families who desire to raise up the next generation of godly leaders, also offering programs for homeschool families, accepting enrollment now for the current school year and opening soon for the 2023-24 school year. Visit rhemachristianschool.org.
Merry Christmas. This is Dean Gartland, president of City Mission. It has been a challenging year. Thank you for supporting City Mission through these uncertain times. I'm reminded of the words of Jesus, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Your generosity has helped us to be a light in the darkness for so many in need. The need is growing and City Mission will be there, but only with your continued support. Please visit us at citymission.org and let your light shine today. God bless you this Christmas season.
Fans are calling The Farmer and the Belle Saving Santaland their new favorite Christmas movie. When a famous model returns to her farm and reunites with a long-lost pen pal, she just may find what true beauty really is.
I came here looking for something I haven't found yet.
Well, maybe you found it and just don't know it. Available now on salemnow.com. Plus, get the documentary What is True Beauty? Free with your purchase of The Farmer and the Belle Saving Santaland. Exclusively on salemnow.com.
This is Pastor Tom Hall. The craziness of life can drive the wonder right out of you. So we can't let Christmas go by without worship and without experiencing the wonder of what God has done in Jesus Christ. One of the most wondrous places in town is First Presbyterian Church, 326th Avenue, downtown. Join us Christmas Eve at 6 p.m. Come early for awesome music. Join us Sundays at 10:45. Let the birth of the Savior rekindle the wonder in you.
Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low of 20. Tomorrow, periods of clouds and sunshine with a high 37. Tomorrow night, becoming partly cloudy with a low 22. Wednesday, some sun, then turning cloudy with a high of 44. And Thursday, cloudy with a little rain and a high of 42. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm Gregory Patrick.
Portions of the following program have been pre-recorded. Welcome to another edition of The Ride Home with John and Kathy, live from the Salem-Pittsburgh studios. And now here are your hosts, John Hall and Kathy Emmons.
That's interesting. So during the break, you just heard the commercial for First Pres downtown. So there's Pastor Tom Hall. He's a friend of ours. He said, come to our service on Christmas Eve, and then, of course, Sunday morning as well. Now, if you've been following along online, there has been this weird sort of brouhaha about will people go to, or is your church having a Christmas morning service? Of course, now Christmas is on a Sunday this year. There are some churches who are saying, you know what, we know that most people are not going to go to church on Christmas morning, so we're just going to skip it
even though
altogether.
Jesus is the reason for the season.
Right. Now, I'm not going to get in trouble here, but
you are, which means you might.
Now, I believe that the Christmas Eve service makes the Christmas day. Yes.
Right.
Now, as a kid growing up, now I've talked about this before, I was raised as a Catholic schoolboy, and I was a member of the choir. I mean, Christmas Eve service
was everything.
It was massive. It was beautiful. I mean, it was high mass with, I would wear a red cassock with a white overlay and a red bow tie. You would come into at midnight mass holding a candle, walking down the center aisle and singing. And it was, and then you would repeat that the following day several times. So
the following day on Christmas
Day, yes.
Okay, so you'd have mass several times on Christmas Day.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What do you think about this?
Okay.
What do you think about now? You'll be traveling on Christmas Day,
right?
But you will be attending Christmas Eve services.
Yes.
Do you feel it's a dereliction of your Christian faith by not attending services on Christmas Day?
No. And I'm really irritated with the type of holier than thou, like I'm more righteous than you attitude that I see all over social media about this. Like I understand that that it's easy to put out a phrase like Jesus is the reason for the season, except when Christmas is on a Sunday. Okay. But I really think that minimizes the issue. Christmas Eve service is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
It's a big thing in our church. I've I've always loved it. It's a wonderful thing.
Lovely.
And if you have a bunch of family traditions that go on the next day, I don't think that means that you don't love Jesus, that you weren't paying attention the night before.
You're less of a believer.
Or that somehow you're less of a believer, or your priorities are upside down.
Right. Okay, but what about churches who are saying, they're not even giving you an option. They're saying, we're just going to cancel Christmas services.
I think that's lame.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean,
you should schedule services.
I mean, for goodness sake.
But it's Christmas Day.
Yeah.
But then, okay, so if they're scheduling services, then why aren't we showing up? Because they're saying, well, no one shows up. So for those few that do show up, why would we bother to do it? So it is a conundrum, is it not?
Yeah, it's especially a conundrum for people who are on church staffs.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I speak as one who's on the church staff.
You wake up Christmas morning, and you have a very narrow window to do your thing with your kids and your family.
Right.
And then you got to hustle into church and do your job.
Yeah. And so you are putting the people who are in leadership at your church, in a different place than the average person if they have to work on Christmas.
Yeah, but I mean, it's your job.
It is your job.
And you surrender and you show up.
But here's the thing. It's not usually your job.
No. 6 times out of 7.
Right. It's not your job to be at the church on Christmas Day.
Right. Okay, so Bart Barber, Southern Baptist,
head of the SBC,
he said something today I read that, people are making I'm going to be a hero. I'm going to brag because I'm going to church on Christmas Day. Like I'm better.
Well, that's what I mean. This is the righteous police are out, like picking on people who aren't good. Exactly. That's what our fan thinks. I really dislike that. But that is endemic to social media, that whatever your thing is, you're going to hoard it or lord it over all the people who you can look at as less holy than you, or more sinful than you, or more wrong than you, or whatever it is. It just turns my stomach.
Well, it's interesting because now it's become part of the secular news cycle. Ruth Graham, who writes for the New York Times, her headline is, "Oh, come, all ye faithful, except when Christmas falls on a Sunday." And then she goes into detail about Stonebridge Christian Church in eastern Nebraska. It's a mega church. They have 8 satellite campuses. They say, the pastor says, hey, Christmas Day, it's a bad analogy. He said, Christmas Day is our Super Bowl. So we do food trucks and fireworks displays, and we have all these different services, but not this year. And so there it is.
Why is that? Because Christmas is on a Sunday.
Exactly. He said last time this happened, 7 years ago, nobody showed up. So we went out of our way to create something really beautiful, but there was no one there to share it with.
Nobody came to it. Nobody. Plus, all I can think of is if you've got food trucks and you have a huge audio visual thing, and all of those people are working on Christmas.
But it does.
All of those people are working on Christmas.
But it does feel weird, you have to admit, not to go to church on Christmas Day.
I've never gone to church on Christmas Day.
What?
Do you you grew up, you always went to church on Christmas Day?
Always.
Yeah, see, I never went to, in fact, all the years I was growing up, I never went to church on Christmas Eve.
Huh. What? You guys didn't go, really? You didn't go to church at all?
Not on Christmas Eve, not until I was an adult. Yeah.
Nanny.
Here's the thing. The Polish celebration of Christmas Eve is a really big deal as far as cooking, as far as extended family. And we kind of combined it because we had the Polish part of Christmas Eve, but we were Protestant. So we kind of, like, if we would, usually, I'm sure when my dad was growing up, everybody went to Mass. Went to midnight Mass after all that was over.
Right.
Well, after this whole thing is over, it's not like you can go to, there's not a midnight service at your average Protestant church on Christmas Eve.
There's no such thing as an average Protestant church.
You know what I mean, though.
I do know what you mean.
Protestant churches usually don't have a midnight service. Anyway, so I'm not saying that was good that I grew up that way. Make sure you hear me there. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying that's what happened. Yeah, that's what it was like.
Well, we don't think less of you.
Well, thank you, John. Thank you. Do you think less of people who aren't? Are you going to go to church on Christmas Day?
Probably not.
Okay.
Although, it remains to be seen. I would say that.
Okay.
If the Spirit moves me, I'll certainly be there on Christmas Eve.
Yes, for sure.
But I do like, there's something about, I'm going to celebrate Jesus' birthday on Christmas morning.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Gare, how about you?
I'm going to turn the comments off on the YouTube thing.
Oh, no. Is everybody mad at us, Gary?
No, don't be mad. No, right? Individual results may vary.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
I don't think we'll be going.
All right.
Not
Okay.
on Christmas.
I don't think it's immediately obvious to the most casual observer.
Take a quick break, come back. What's ahead? Oh, come, all you faithful?
No, nobody took Christ out of Christmas.
WORD.
Hey everybody, it's Charlie Kirk here. In the battle for America's Christian values, we at TPUSA Faith have stood strong in helping generations of Americans to defend their faith. Now we need your support to help us finish the year strong, ready to advance the biblical values in 2023. Would you help us defend faith and freedom right now with a tax-deductible donation? When you do, thanks to a generous $75,000 matching donation, your best gift will be doubled. Give today and help Christians stand strong in their faith.
Support Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA now at wordfm.com/faith.
Attention! This is a special alert for all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an overpriced auto warranty or no warranty coverage at all. Due to the increase of new and used car prices, repair costs, and the price of gas, people are keeping their cars longer than ever, which is why CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on covered auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can save thousands for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. You could save thousands on future auto repairs. Our specialists are standing by for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-279-7495. Vehicle Protection Plan pricing is at an all-time low. Plus, drivers who purchase this coverage today will receive rental car options, free roadside assistance, and free towing. Call 800-279-7495 now for your free quick quote. That's 800-279-7495. What do you have to lose? Call 800-279-7495. Again, 800-279-7495.
That hailstorm really did some damage to the house, honey.
I know, and so close to Christmas. What are we going to do?
Well, you know, our neighbor Eric said Bachman's Roofing helped him with his insurance claim and walked him through each step of the process.
Maybe we should call them too. Eric's wife did say Bachman's are local storm experts. Can we ask them about saving with solar roofing?
I think that's a great idea.
Call Bachman's Roofing and Solar at 412-744-8390 or go to pittsburgh.bachmansroofing.com.
Your local radio stations are here for you. No subscriptions or monthly fees necessary. We're here to give you the news, weather, and traffic you need and the music you love. But if the foreign-owned record labels get their way, it could stop the music. They want Congress to force radio stations to pay them more money simply to play their music. Don't let radio go silent. Text LOCAL to 52886 and tell Congress to protect local radio stations. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Trip to Europe. Visit all 30 Major League Baseball stadiums. Go skydiving. Okay, so you know what you want to do in retirement, but do you know how to get there? Tune into Your Retirement Blueprint with Kurt Kenotic and Ethan Lane of Accurate Solutions Group, Saturdays at 10 a.m. to get answers to your retirement planning questions. Plan today so you can do the things you've always dreamt about doing in retirement. Listen every Saturday morning at 10 to Your Retirement Blueprint with Accurate Solutions Group. Investment advisory services offered through ASG Investment Management, LLC.
I think it's fair to say it's an annual trope, right?
Oh, it's either the Starbucks coffee cup, or it's what somebody didn't say to me at Target.
Or the banning of nativity sets.
Or it's some headline at the New York Times.
Right.
Or it's something that you saw on, like, CBS Primetime.
Right. Everyone gets, like, all upset. Hey, what? You taking Christ out of Christmas? Well, here we are, right? I mean, here we are in the Christmas season.
Jesus hasn't
Christ is
gone
still
anywhere.
here, right? Timothy Larsen is with us. He wrote a piece at Christianity Today that explicitly, no one took Christ out of Christmas. Timothy, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing great today. I'm glad to hear you.
So you've heard about, of course, the Starbucks Christmas Cup Wars. And,
yes, I have.
And people are mad because, I don't know, people were mad at Target like 5 years ago for something. I don't know. I can't keep track. But the concern is they're taking Christ out of Christmas, and so therefore we have to rise up and defend Jesus. What do you say?
Yeah, I would say, first of all, that Christmas is the one time of the year when Christ is most prominent in our culture. So I think people are looking at it a bit backwards and seeing what's not there, and they're not seeing what is there.
Okay.
I've got a radio station here in the Chicago market where I am, which just plays the standard, rock format all year long. But it goes all Christmas for the last 6 weeks of the year. And it tells me about a Savior that's been born. It tells me about Christ the King. It tells me the gospel in lots of songs. That's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing that Christmas is a federal holiday in this country. So there are lots of ways in which I think Christians need to see how much an opportunity Christmas is, how much it lends itself to our culture focusing on Christ.
Right. So, Timothy, begin in this article with the idea of doubt, right? Because beyond the Christmas cultural wars, right, a lot of people would not believe the Christmas story. But talk about doubt and how that plays into the story. Like, Jesus never existed, therefore there could never have been a Christ child. Therefore, there's no Star of Bethlehem or the Magi or anything like that.
Yes. So I actually wrote a book once on atheist leaders who came to faith. And what I realized by taking maybe 5 years to study those stories really closely was that they're often very rude and negative comments about Christianity were a sign that they were struggling with it themselves. The faith had gotten under their skin, and it eventually resulted in them coming to Christ. So doubt is always a sign of emotional engagement. And I think that we need to see it as people engaging with the right story. And they might think what they're doing is, pointing out holes or being skeptical or whatever, and maybe they are, but they're also thinking about the story that God wants them to think about. And I've seen over and over again that lead to people coming to Christ.
Mm-hmm. So that requires a level of engagement with culture. And I think it also, Timothy, requires a non-reactiveness on our part. Right. So not to, see the coffee cup at Starbucks and decide I have to fight back.
Absolutely. I watched the Ken Burns documentary on country music, and it had Minnie Pearl, who my mother loved, and so I knew her name as a Grand Ole Opry star of the past. And it had her slogan was, "If you love them, they'll love you back." Mm-hmm. And and I just really took that away. I was like, you're kind of getting the reaction that you're coming with. And so, if we're always coming with suspicion and hostility and criticism and here's what you're doing wrong, then people get their guard up and that's how they're going to respond to you. But I think, Christmas is a time for peace. It's a time for joy. It's a time for good news. It's a time for love. And if you love them, they'll love you back.
Right. Okay, so Timothy, the trope is that culturally, Christmas is actually a pagan holiday, and just Christians have co-opted that, right?
Yeah. Man, I just hear this all of the time. I hear it from non-Christians who are trying to tweet Christians. I hear it from Christians who feel guilty about Christmas. It is a complete urban legend, but it's everywhere. It actually was made up by secular polemicists in the 19th century deliberately in order to try to derail people thinking about Christmas. So, for example, German nationalists in the 19th century just completely made up, no evidence, completely made up the idea that the Christmas tree is somehow pagan, because they wanted to make Christmas about German identity rather than Christian identity and foster German nationalism. Germany was a federation of different states that had a hard time coming together. And so they just put it in books and just asserted it as if it was true, and there was no evidence at all. I've looked into a lot of these, specific things about various aspects of the Christmas story, and the kind of summing that up as Christmas is really pagan is completely false.
That is an argument that I've heard in my own church by really intelligent people saying, we don't need to have a Christmas tree in our sanctuary because it's a pagan symbol.
Yeah, and of course they're intelligent people because they've been reading, things by scholars who have said this.
Right.
And so it is something that was really deliberately planted into the conversation and the culture in a strong way. There are all kinds of urban myths. I'm going to digress here for just 1 second, but you can read all the time that Christians said that the earth was flat. I've looked into it as a historian. It's completely not true. There's never a time period in all of Christian history where Christians asserted that the earth was flat. But you can read it in books. You can read Christians apologizing for, literally in a book, apologizing, sorry we did this. But it was made up by secular polemicists wanting to make Christianity look stupid.
Interesting. All right, Timothy. I mean, I love this because you're debunking a lot of things that, we can just consider the truth about the Christmas story. But what about the idea of, you hear this all the time, well, here we are in the United States, and now we celebrate Christmas by having car ads with gigantic bows where people buy each other, matching cars in their driveway. Everything becomes, self-indulgent and consumerism. We are dishonoring God born in the manger by injecting consumerism to the Christmas feast.
Yeah, so everything can be done wrongly and done to excess, but that is different from saying that the thing itself is actually wrong. So it is very biblical and human to give gifts as an expression of joy. We do it at birthdays, we do it at weddings. The Bible teaches how to keep the sacred days of Purim in the book of Esther by saying, express joy, give gifts, feast. So those are very biblical ways to express the joy of salvation. Purim is about them being saved, and Christmas is the ultimate salvation that is the greatest celebration. So it's right to feast. It's right to give gifts. Of course, that can become too excessive. It can get derailed into silliness or whatever. But it's not supposed to be a somber day of self-sacrifice. It's supposed to be a day of celebration, which is feasting and giving and joy.
Well, aren't you mixing things up today, Timothy?
I like it.
I mean, what in the world?
Good
stuff. That's an unusual. I'm glad for that take. Simply because I think it's rooted in something that is real, which is that the Christian calendar is set up with times of feasting and fasting. I really appreciate that. I appreciate your take on that. I think, though, people who are trying to be holy or trying to, you know what I mean? Like God honoring. That's a better word. It seems like the more unhappy they can be, then the better it is.
Don't make me unhappy. Yeah. I just like Christmas.
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. There's nothing unspiritual about celebrating. You could read that throughout the Old Testament, that people had a feast before the Lord. What is the feast? It's good food, it's good drink, it's good company, it's good conversation, and yet it is before the Lord. It is an honoring and a holy day, and it's sacred, but it's a celebration. And as you were saying, of course, there are also times when it's right to fast, to practice self-denial in various ways, to retreat, to be quiet, to be alone. All those are spiritual disciplines that have their place, but there's a time for everything. Right. And there's a time for celebration.
Okay, but so let me be devil's advocate for a minute and just say that when we read the nativity story, though, it's not like a blowout celebration. Like, it's pretty rough.
Yes, it is. And that means I think that's a wonderful reality for us to know that this story actually comes into our real lives. So I preach an Advent sermon every year in my church, and we have a game. The senior pastor has played this game with me where I have to come up with a new theme every year, which I've done for about 18 years now. Wow. So it's getting harder and harder. I preached my way through all of the standard people in the nativity story. So this year I took Caesar Augustus, who's first one in Luke chapter 2. A decree went out from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. Well, Roman taxation was a terrifying thing. It was a total extortion shakedown. Sometimes it would literally involve torture. So to hear that in that context is like this great shock of this horrible realities coming into our lives. And, the Herod story with, the slaughter of the innocents, these mothers who refuse to be comforted, who are wailing. That we live in a world which has pain and sadness, and what the gospel story is saying that is good news, joy, salvation. A Savior has come into a world that you recognize, a world that is messed up and that has disorder and pain and violence and sadness and political chaos. That is a real world. It's not a fairy tale world, and the gospel comes into it. That's good news indeed.
That is good news. Timothy Larsen is with us. He teaches at Wheaton College, the editor of the Oxford Handbook of Christmas. Okay, Tim, one final thing. You know this happens at every church on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, right? Your head is bowed, you're saying prayers, then all of a sudden you look around and go, holy smokes, look at all these people. I don't see these people I've never seen these people. Oh, they must not be real Christians. They're not God-honoring. They show up once or twice a year. Tut, tut, tut.
Yeah, again, I just think this is like we're back to where we started with the Starbucks cup. I think this is completely backwards. Christmas is the one time of the year when it's easiest to make an invitation to church, to your relatives, to your neighbors, to your friends that they will actually accept.
Yeah.
It is an amazing bridge into people's lives. If you tell them we are having a Christmas carol service or a nativity play service or a Christmas service of any kind, they're likely to say yes. My goodness, how easy could it be that they'll actually come to church for a church service that proclaims the gospel if you can just put the word Christmas in the kind of service it is? I think we should rejoice that we live in a culture where that's still possible.
I love it.
That's a good attitude. That's Tim Larsen. He teaches at Wheaton College, editor of the Oxford Handbook of Christmas. Tim?
Well, what is that? What is the Oxford
what's the Oxford Handbook of Christmas?
Yeah, it's kind of like almost an encyclopedia. It's got 45 chapters on everything you would ever want to ask about Christmas, both Bible and theology, but also the cultural aspects, food, Santa Claus, Christmas around the world. It was a lot of fun to do.
Very nice.
Great, Tim.
Loved it, Tim. Hey, thanks for being with us.
Yeah, we're glad you were here.
I'm honored. Thank you very much.
Our pleasure. Merry Christmas to you, Timothy Larsen from Wheaton College.
Oxford Handbook of Christmas. That might be a fun thing to get for somebody who likes that trivia kind of thing, right?
Likes Christmas.
And likes Christmas.
Do you remember your college years? A lot of great things can happen. And if you were so inclined, a lot of not so great things can happen. Well, at Grove City College, they know this, that you were made with a purpose because your college years are pivotal. And the time to discover and cultivate your God-given calling, it's there. And you know, and so do we, that God made you in his image with a purpose for your life. And at Grove City College, you'll find an unwavering commitment to your freedom of conscience, empowering you to know the truth of who God is and his purpose for your life.
I got to be honest, college was a hard time for me. I mean, it was really challenging academically. It was also really challenging socially. And so to kind of have a solid perspective that's given to you by the faculty that there's a purpose for this, that God has a purpose, not just for what you're learning in the classroom, but with your roommate or with your boy or girlfriend or whoever, what you're going through, the changes with your siblings or your parents, that there's a purpose for that.
Yes.
I don't know. I feel like that could change everything for someone who's of a college age.
Without a doubt. In your academics, your social life, in all things, you were made with a purpose. If you're your child looking for the next 4 years, we suggest you look at Grove City College online at gcc.edu. The power of purpose, Grove City College.
This holiday season, why not give the gift of a good night's sleep? This is Greg Trzynski, and at the Original Mattress Factory, our factory direct business model allows us to provide a better quality product at a better price than mainstream mattress retailers. We hand build our products in our own local factories and sell them directly to you in our own stores. Not only does this save you money, it also means we can offer local delivery or arrange in-store pickup on most items by the holidays. Visit an OMF location today for a better night's sleep this Christmas.
When you need your dollar to go further, you need the Original Mattress Factory. We hand build our mattresses and box springs in our factories and sell them factory direct in our own stores. We cut out the middleman and pass the savings on to you. You get a better quality mattress at a better price compared to mainstream brands. When your wallet is feeling the squeeze everywhere from the gas pump to the grocery store, real value is more important than ever. Visit an Original Mattress Factory location today to see our factory direct difference for yourself.
We are everywhere. On your radio at 101.5 WORD-FM Pittsburgh, at wordfm.com, the Word FM mobile app, iHeart, TuneIn, and Odyssey.
Talking to your kids about the dangers of vaping can be hard. Getting them to listen to hot gossip is easy. So here's some drama you could share with your kid. Dude, did you hear about Cassie and Jake? No, but did you hear that vaping can cause irreversible lung damage and nicotine affects brain development? Nuh-uh. You don't need to gossip if you want to have an open conversation about vaping. So if you want to get tips on when and how to talk to your kids, visit talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low of 20. Tomorrow, periods of clouds and sunshine with a high 37. Tomorrow night, becoming partly cloudy with a low 22. Wednesday, some sun, then turning cloudy with a high of 44. And Thursday, cloudy with a little rain and a high of 42. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm Gregory Patrick.
Does this make sense?
Does what make sense?
Cream cheese.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
It's a controversial option.
Is it?
Yep.
Well, one of the great delights is a warm pumpernickel bagel with a giant smear of cream cheese.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Gary, it's almost heavenly. It's so good.
Until probably 5 years ago, I hated it.
Really?
Hated it with a red-hot passion.
No kidding.
That's why I think it deserves a mention in the Does This Make Sense question. Because I didn't think it did. I feel as if I've matured. And now, it all started with the cream cheese frosting on the carrot cake.
Of course.
That sucks you in. It
Slowly.
takes, those of you who are uninitiated can still feel like they can be a part of the cream cheese party. And then after you realize how delicious that is, it's like the floodgates open.
Will you do a bagel with cream cheese?
I will.
Yeah.
I will, but not off. I mean, maybe once a year, maybe less. I don't need to do that.
Bruegger's.
But what if you put it in a recipe? Any recipe you put it in, it makes it better. Every single recipe is better with cream cheese.
I agree.
That's how great it is.
You're preaching to the choir.
It makes all the sense to me, John.
That's good. All right. So I see your cream cheese. Does this make sense? And I raise the stakes. Does Sunday worship make sense?
You mean the regular Sunday worship?
Yeah. I mean, we were on our way walking into church yesterday, and I see people out, going to the store, going to their thing.
Having a day off.
And I thought, I am so grateful. I'm so happy that I'm going where I'm going right now. And I get in there and I'm like, these my people. And I love it. And I do. And I love the songs. I love the sermons. I love the fellowship.
The greeting time where you shake hands with people.
That was actually pretty good yesterday. Okay. But I love it. And I know for a large majority of people, it's freaky, it's weird, it's kind of awkward. It doesn't make any sense at all.
It's another day off that they'd have to give up.
I don't know. Does it make sense to you?
My whole life really revolves around it.
Of worship.
Yeah.
Whether it's Wednesday or...
I believe that's what a human needs. I really do. I think that 7-day cycle, that Sabbath day, I think it's like the fulcrum of everything. Makes sense.
101.5 WORD.
The gospel is Jesus' universal message of salvation, but not everyone accepts him as the long-awaited Savior. Find out why Jesus is the only way to God, and neutrality isn't an option when it comes to responding to the gospel. Join us this week on Truth for Life with Alistair Begg.
Tomorrow morning at 6 on 101.5 WORD.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care. And here's why. Not only is it open enrollment for a lot of people, it's also a time you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. And it's true, the typical family switching to MediShare saves $500 or more a month, which is obviously huge for a lot of people. But what's more, they like it. MediShare has double the customer satisfaction rate compared to health insurance. Double. There are 400,000 members. They've shared over $4 billion in medical bills, and it really is a great community too. People encourage and pray for each other. And here's the thing. If you join MediShare Complete right now, they'll waive your new member fees and you'll save an additional 10% off all of 2023. That's right. No fee to join, 10% off every month of next year, but it's a very limited time offer. You have to sign up before December 31st. Great savings, great health care. Find out more. Call now. 844-45-BIBLE. That's 844-45-BIBLE. 844-45-BIBLE.
During the pandemic, they closed our churches down.
Suicide rates are exploding. Drug and alcohol use is ravaging America, and there's no church to bring the hope.
See the new documentary, Super Spreader, how a stand against religious tyranny brought hope to a country in crisis.
Christian singer and activist Sean Foyt leading what's called Let Us Worship.
Here's a move of God that's going to change America.
Watch Super Spreader, available now at salemnow.com. salemnow.com.
I'm thankful for the time I get to spend with my family during Christmas.
Christmas is a time for gratitude at Wheaton Christian Academy.
I'm thankful for the opportunity that I get to spend time with those I love.
My favorite thing about the holiday season is seeing the look on my family's face when I give them a really good gift.
During the Christmas season, I'm thankful that I can see all of my family members in one place.
I'm thankful for the friends and relationships that I've made here at Eden.
Merry Christmas from your friends at Wheaton Christian Academy.
This Christmas season, have you wondered, where is the goodwill in the world today? May we remember that our hope is found in Christ, in His message of peace and goodwill for all people and among all people. You are invited to Christ Church at Grove Farm as we share this message of hope at our Christmas candlelight services on December 23rd and 24th. Experience the joy and the hope of Christmas at Christ Church at Grove Farm. Visit ccgf.org for more information.
All right, hear me out here. Don't get freaked out. Don't turn off your radio. Don't run away. Don't yell. Don't point your finger. Last night, 60 Minutes, the longest running television show in network television history, did a report on the miracle of Lourdes.
Mm-hmm. The sanctuary of Our Lady of Lourdes, which is in, I believe, is the southern part of France.
Yes, in the southern part of France.
Pyrenees.
Which is also miraculous. Now, me, having grown up in a Catholic Christian tradition, Lourdes was part of my upbringing. I mean, it was something the nuns...
Really?
Yeah, it was. The nuns would freely talk about Lourdes.
Okay, and what would they say about it?
That this is a holy, sacrificial place where miracles happen on a regular basis. I knew people as a child who traveled to Lourdes looking for a miracle.
Really?
It's akin to Fatima, which is also a Marian apparition. That the Virgin Mary, whether through folklore or eyewitness accounts, has appeared, and because of her appearance and what she said, has become a holy shrine for millions of Catholic believers around the world. Now, I know that this is very, very controversial to a lot of people. I am not in any way, shape, or form elevating Mary to Jesus status. Mary was a human being. Jesus is the Lord of the universe. However, I do believe that what has happened at these places, Lourdes in particular, miracles happen. People are healed of decades of pain and misery on their lives. So last night, 60 Minutes, which I would say looks askance at organized religion.
I think that's an understatement.
Sent Bill Whitaker to Lourdes, and he interviewed, in one person in particular, a French woman who documented her physical maladies, lifelong physical disabilities, that she wore a back brace and a leg brace. Her spine, her leg was crooked. She was suffering in deep pain.
Sister Bernadette Morial is her name. I encourage you to watch the bit. It's probably 15 minutes long on the 60 Minutes website. And she gives her testimony. She shows the accoutrements that she needed in order to walk. And the incredible pain she was in, the consistent morphine drip that she was on. And then she talked about her trip to Lourdes. So she was already a believer when she took the trip. She says she was not going there for healing. She was just going there because she wanted to...
Fellowship and prayer.
Right.
This Lourdes became famous in 1858. And so in this 60 Minutes piece, there are people who have documented that thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of healings that have taken place. But what's really interesting is that this Lord's, I'm not sure the proper name, but the foundation around this, very meticulous. A team of some 30-plus doctors get together, and they have documented in minute detail 70 miraculous healings.
Yes.
Just 70.
Yeah.
But Bill Whitaker is there, and they pull out these gigantic 10-pound binders of people who say, this is what happened to me. This is what happened. I used to be this way, and I went to Lourdes, and I prayed, and I felt the power of Christ in my life, and I have been healed. Now, those are not verified. Those, how many thousands?
Oh, I don't know how many. There are thousands
through the
and
decades.
thousands and thousands. Thousands.
1853 forward.
Of people, and for every person who claims a healing at Lourdes, and they've communicated with the Physicians Commission there is a file about their situation. Going back to Sister Bernadette Morial, her situation, and she explains what happened to her in the healing, and how she's 82 years old now. She's able to walk with no residual constriction at all, no morphine, no nothing. Truly, it's a miraculous story. And her case, she herself was examined by 300 different physicians, because that was required by the commission at Lourdes to document whether she truly had been healed, that there was no physiological clinical explanation for what happened to her.
Okay, now, so Kath, this is interesting to me for a lot of different reasons, but mostly because of your interest in it. Mm-hmm. Because, as I said, I grew up as a schoolboy at an early age, nodding my head at the truth and reality of this.
I knew not one thing about it till last night.
Really?
I mean, I'd heard of the town.
Yeah, Lourdes.
Didn't know anything about it. Nothing. I'd never heard a thing about it.
And what's your take?
Well, you can't help anyone who is either suffered with a sickness yourself or seen someone you love suffer with a sickness. Your heart breaks at seeing the thousands of people who are there, who are asking God to heal them. Mm-hmm. I ask God to heal countless people in my life. So I know what that prayer is like. I know what that cry of the heart is like. More people visit Lourdes on a yearly basis than go to Mecca or Jerusalem. That gives you some idea of what that longing is in the human heart.
When you see the report and you see the people streaming day and night, daily, since 1853.
It's shocking.
It is shocking.
It is shocking.
It only, I think, shows you people's hunger for God, for the Lord, and hunger for healing.
Yes.
Those two things combined. And so they, in this report, I'm not going to give away too much here, but they talked to a man, I think he said he's visited Lourdes
19 times.
He has cerebral palsy. Now, he has not been healed of his cerebral palsy, but Bill Whitaker says, but you have received a miracle. And he said, before I came here, I was bitter in my heart. That's faded away. Now,
and he keeps coming back because he said he loves the community. He loves, he feels better, he says, being there. He feels better being there.
But it's just like what we talked about. Does this make sense? When you are in communion with other people of the faith who also love Jesus, there is something that radically changes in your life.
Yeah, you're right. Now, I don't know if that's dependent on that place. All I know is I finished watching this piece on 60 Minutes. I hit stop, and then I hit rewind, and I went and watched it again because I like I said, this was not something I was familiar with.
Right.
And this is and then I sat there for a while by myself and thought about it. And this is what came to me. I thought, I don't need to understand this. I don't need to explain it. And I also don't need to approve it.
Yeah.
I think that's important to say. If God chooses to do something, he's not waiting for us to give him the okay sign.
Right.
He's not. And just because we don't understand it doesn't mean it's not happening. Just because we can't explain it doesn't mean it's not happening.
What do they say? For those who believe, no explanation is necessary. For those who don't believe, no explanation will provide. Right? And I'm glad you brought up the place, because, you know, we in America...
And I don't know what the answer to that is. What?
Yeah.
Say what you were going to say about the place.
Well, you know, we live in this society that's obsessed with horror, right? The haunted house. This happened here, this dark. So people...
The Jeffrey Dahmer.
Right. So people will ascribe a place to horror, that place holds evil. Well, if that's true, if you believe that, then you would also have to believe that people who gather since the 1850s, there's a power of holiness as well.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy either one of those things.
I do.
But I'm not saying I don't either. I don't know.
I believe that there are places in this world that there is so much holiness that it overflows into people's lives.
There are thin places, as
Very thin.
It is known.
Okay, so then you, as a lifelong Protestant, see that and go, look, I know the Catholics think this is, holy. Not knowing anything about it, you see that and go, hold on. There has to be something there. I mean,
listening to the physicians speak about it.
These are very serious.
These are serious. I'm telling you.
One guy from Mayo Clinic.
Yeah, these people are not fooling around. These are not like some, Joe Blow from
Ed's house of chiropractic
That's
care.
That's not what it is.
Toe healing.
Yeah, and please buy an essential oil. Like, that's not what this is.
Although we're not knocking.
Sorry, don't. All you essential oil people.
Kathy at wordfm.com. Essential oils are us.
These are clinically trained people who have careers outside the church, and they are saying these stories cannot be explained. However, there are 70 of those cases that have been this rigorously investigated by hundreds. 300 physicians minimum for each one of these 70 cases. Right. Okay. There have been millions of people that have gone there. So if we're looking at the law of averages,
right? The odds are, what do they say? Better to win the lottery,
right? Than to be healed at Lourdes. So if you're just looking at numbers, that's not what. But clearly something happened. Clearly something happened in 70 cases. To me, there can be no doubt.
Do you believe in miracles?
Yes.
You believe in miracles?
Yes, I believe in miracles. I absolutely believe in miracles. But as the sister said, she said, I always believed in miracles. I didn't believe in one for me.
Right, for somebody else. And then there's someone with a blood disease, and they're saying, do you think you'll be healed? And she said, well, just a little bit. I'm just looking for a little bit. But, they're saying, God's saying, take all of me.
Right. And so why did Sister Bernadette Morial experience a truly miraculous experience, and the 10 people around her in line didn't?
Of the millions and millions and millions.
All I can say is it's not for us to know. But I don't think there's any doubt. There can be no doubt in my mind that was a true healing for her.
So you can see the video.
Yeah.
It's at the 60 Minutes website. It's up now. I missed it last night. Lourdes. Check it out. 60 Minutes.
My grandma is one of my heroes, and one thing we did together was Bob Barker and The Price is Right. Grandma knew the cost of everything, but here's how I think she would do today.
Grandma, name the price of these hot dogs and win a brand new car.
Those are definitely $2.49.
So sorry. These hot dogs are now 4 monthly payments of $19.99. Too bad.
It's Ryan from United Faith Mortgage, and the cost of everything is crazy, and the holidays only make things harder. But there still is one big positive, and that's the skyrocketing home values of the last few years. For many, today is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to cash out some of the new money their home earned, to help with the crazy. And the strategy is, take advantage of the cash out today and refinance tomorrow when rates settle back down. They've already dropped an ounce as of late. If you're curious about your options,
We are United Faith Mortgage.
United Mortgage Corp, Melville, New York. NMLS number 1330. Pennsylvania Department of Banking and Securities. Mortgage lender license 22672.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for healthcare. And here's why. Not only is it open enrollment for a lot of people, it's also a time you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. And it's true, the typical family switching to MediShare saves $500 or more a month, which is obviously huge for a lot of people. But what's more, they like it. MediShare has double the customer satisfaction rate compared to health insurance. Double. There are 400,000 members. They've shared over $4 billion in medical bills, and it really is a great community, too. People encourage and pray for each other. And here's the thing. If you join MediShare Complete right now, they'll waive your new member fees, and you'll save an additional 10% off all of 2023. That's right. No fee to join, 10% off every month of next year, but it's a very limited time offer. You have to sign up before December 31st. Great savings, great health care. Find out more. Call now. 844-45-BIBLE. That's 844-45-BIBLE. 844-45-BIBLE.
Drought, war, and rising food prices have doubled the number of families facing malnutrition. You can help. $50 provides a food kit to feed a family for a month. Just text the word radio to 97646.
This is Tim Seckler inviting you to tune in each and every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. right here on Word FM 101.5 for the Life and Legacy Show, sponsored by my law firm, the Seckler Law Firm. Each week, we'll talk about your family's well-being as it relates to elder law, nursing home stays, estate planning, and keeping your hard-earned savings. And if you missed the Life and Legacy Show, you will find it archived at SecklerLawFirm.com. See you Saturday morning at 9 a.m. right here on Word FM 101.5 for the Life and Legacy Show.
101.5 WORD-FM Pittsburgh. On your smart speaker by saying, play the word Pittsburgh, and on your phone via the Word FM mobile app, iHeart, TuneIn, and Odyssey.
December 19th, which is today, National Hard Candy Day. Not even a little bit.
Now, when we were kids, we would go visit my grandma. We called her Nan. It was my dad's mom.
Yeah.
And she had a candy dish, and she would go, "Would you like some candy?" And, of course, the first few times, you'd go, "Yeah, great." And then she'd pull the little lid off the candy dish, and it'd go, they called it hardtack. Hardtack. I'm not quite sure. That's what my mom called it.
Yeah.
And it would look,
hardtack was what the Pilgrims ate on the Mayflower, right?
I don't know. It looks beautiful, doesn't it? It's really nice colors. Usually little square pieces.
Yeah, or the round ones with the little twisty ties on either side. Yeah. Right?
But always a disappointment. Nobody wants that.
And it's bad for your teeth.
I don't even care about that. I've eaten many things that are bad for my teeth that are delicious. But I want there to be a payoff. Please.
There's no payoff.
No.
Now, if you've got a Tootsie Pop, that's not hard candy, it's a lollipop.
That's even disappointing.
No, it's not.
It is.
A Tootsie Pop is great.
My wife bought a bag of Tootsie Pops for around Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Not Thanksgiving, Halloween. Which I objected to as giving away.
Oh, my gosh. They're delicious.
I had one of those. I was like, this is such a disappointment.
Which one did you have?
You know what? The big disappointment, in the bag that she bought, there were no chocolate.
Oh, I know. It's sad for you. I think grape is delicious. I think oranges. I think they're all great. Cherry's great. Every Tootsie Pop to me is a reward.
You can't put Tootsie Pops as a hard candy.
No, I don't think you can because it has a stick in it. You're right. Okay, what about Jolly Ranchers?
I like a Jolly Rancher. Yeah, I like a Jolly Rancher. Yeah, especially like the sour, like the sour apple.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah,
but
cherry.
Like if you told me, Kathy, I'm sorry to tell you that for the rest of your life you're never going to be able to have a Jolly Rancher.
No,
it's not hurting me.
No. And I don't want to throw my grandma under the bus. God bless her. But that hardtack, whatever that thing was, my mom was no.
Okay, what about the little star peppermint things?
Star peppermint.
Those little red and white things. The round guys.
Oh, those. No.
Nothing.
No, I'm passing those.
What about the spearmint ones?
Mm-mm.
No.
You? No.
No. It's kind of a disappointment. I always think that that's going to be mintier than it is.
Yeah.
But what about candy cane?
Well, candy cane, it's sentimental. It's like the season. Plus, it's been hanging on the Christmas tree.
What if it hasn't been? What if it's just sitting in a little jar?
No.
No? What about in your hot chocolate? You're going to mix it into your coffee.
No,
you're not doing that. You're not mixing it into your coffee.
No, but I would just like to have a little candy cane just to suck on for a little bit. Yeah, okay. I guess that does follow under the classification of a hard candy.
Sure, of course.
Yeah.
So you're not going to celebrate. You've got no special.
No, nothing.
Okay.
Do you really have, other than what? Do you have any connection at all? Nothing.
I don't think I do.
See, the Jolly Rancher,
here's my
I go,
problem.
that's, to me, like Jolly Rancher is the high part of.
Yeah. Here's my problem. Well, I would say the Luden's Wild Cherry Cough Drop could be the height of the hard candy. That's probably one of the most delicious things in the world.
See, the Luden thing, going to, when you were in elementary school,
yeah,
no candy, but if you had a Luden's.
Right, you were sick. That was medication.
Which, it's just candy. There's nothing in Luden's cough drops. It's not a hormone drop or something like Fisherman's Friend.
No, it's
like
not whatever the spectrum is, if you've got Luden's Wild Cherry on one end, Fisherman's Friend is on the other.
It sure is. How about, are they brothers? The Luden brothers?
Yeah,
it's
I
like
think
two old guys facing each other.
Yeah, there are two men there. Yeah,
right.
yeah. I think they are
like
brothers.
They're doing scientific research. They're making candy.
They're clearly aligned in their pursuit of delicious
money. They're making a profit.
Accoutrements for your cold.
Right. No. That always kind of fell. Pull out the Ludens. I'm sick.
What about Sucrets?
No, same thing.
I like their carrying case.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I really like that.
It's high-end. Very nice. Hey, thanks for being with us. WordFM.com or The Ride Home with John and Kathy on Facebook.
The Ride Home with John and Kathy, a production of Salem Media Group.